So obviously, like you know and have heard, today we're talking about vision and mission. And yeah, I feel like the mentor presentations is like revenge for the hot seats where we get put under pressure from a time perspective too. So like I said, my name is S'ongoba Vuba. I run a consultancy called Perpetuate, and effectively we work with small businesses and help them scale. So for today's session, I thought there's some key lessons that I want to share with you, which is not specific to any industry or specific problem, but rather just tests for your thinking around your mission and vision as you develop it. So the first thing is you've got to make sure that you're finding a problem. Oftentimes we're so focused on selling a solution as entrepreneurs, we forget that actually the best way to build a business is to sell the problem that you are solving, because that's actually what's going to grip you a client base. So, but beyond just selecting a problem, the worst entrepreneurs are the ones who probably just choose something because it'll make them money. The best ones and probably the most successful are the ones who actually invest in a problem that they have experienced or encountered and personally have a vested interest to solve for. Because when the going gets tough, they'll still be motivated by the fact that this is a problem that they want to solve. So just test that about yourself. The second thing is that ensure that your business has meaning. Starting a business is really tough, and there's going to be some really tough times. And the thing that's going to keep you going is the fact that the business you started is one of meaning, right? One of meaning, and one that you want to keep sweating for and sweating bullets for, because that time will come. And when you fail, you've got to make sure you still want to get up to keep going. And also pick a problem that people will want to fund and put money into solving. And currently the big focus of a lot of funders, but also just a good articulation of kind of the problems we need to solve in the world, is effectively, structured around the grand challenges. So I've shared this detail, and I'm sure that these slides will be shared as well, which talks around kind of as a global society, these are the grand challenges that we are trying to solve for in order to improve the state of humanity. They will sound ambitious, they will sound massive, and it's supposed to sound daunting, such as energy, which is very topical in South Africa at the moment, given that we have load shedding and many people will have lights go off behind them today while we're on this call. It's important to solve for, and you've got to make sure that you're solving it in a way that's aligned with the solutions that are out there, but in a way that is scalable too. And whichever one of these grand challenges you choose to go after, the reality is that in order to come up with scalable solutions and a scalable vision, you need to make sure that you're building it in context, which is the reality that we're in a world where a lot of information is being shared and accelerated. Technology is making sure that a lot of things are possible and that barriers to entry are lower than they've ever been. And as you build your business, you need to ask yourself what the barriers to entry are. But also, by leveraging technology, you've got to think about how to solve these solutions in a way that you can actually reach many people and build a scalable business that can create impact. The other thing is that you need to build a business that is exponential in nature, because the changes that we face are no longer linear in change. And we'll talk about that a bit later. And then also the third bit is to make sure that you're coming up with a solution that is built on and the foundation is built on diverse perspectives. So building for an overly niche market or kind of current times is not going to stand you in good stead for a long sustainable business, but rather going for one that is built on diverse perspectives and can actually scale more broadly than where you may start at the beginning is important. Then the other bit, like I mentioned, is obviously kind of the sustainable goals and the sustainable development goals. It's a similar kind of framework, which is be clear on where your business sits in these grand challenges and in these sustainable goals. You will hear it continuously as an entrepreneur, looking for funding, looking for partners, looking for whatever that the world speaks in these frameworks, and effectively are trying to solve for these problems and make sure that money is driving sustainable development of society, which really means that all of you starting businesses are social entrepreneurs, because it really is about how to find appropriate solutions for problems in a way that creates an enterprise. Then I love the video we showed earlier that spoke about the difference versus vision versus mission. I'm not going to get into that. I'm in a school of thought that every business needs a simple, massive, transformative purpose. This is something that is also used and kind of advocated for quite strongly in the world of exponential organizations, which focuses on companies that are able to scale and disrupt rather than the ones that are disrupted. It is something I think that's worth looking into from a principles perspective. And when we look at these, it's very simple, very quick, very easy to understand. It needs to be massive. It's solving a global problem or one that is big in scale. It's transformative. In other words, if you guys meet and reach this purpose, something will fundamentally change in your industry and in your community. And it's a purpose, which is, it's something that people care about, right? People don't get up in the morning to do work because they sell printers. They probably do it because they actually believe that they can make a dent in the world. And if you're not able as an entrepreneur to articulate a vision that allows people to see how they're making a difference in the world, you will be challenged in getting talent, which is probably one of the biggest drivers of how successful you will be as an entrepreneur. So make sure that it is massive, make sure it is transformative, make sure it is purposeful, and it should excite you and even scare you. And it should be authentic and it should be succinct, because most people don't remember long vision and mission statements when they think about what they do from a business perspective. Then the next bit is check your context. We live in a world of massive change and massive technology disruption. So things that used to have a value no longer have value. Disruption is normal. No one is an expert in anything because so much information is readily available and you can't plan for 5 years anymore. People use sharing economy. People want to drive trust and people want to make sure that things are measurable. And as you build your business, you've got to make sure you build a vision and a business that is aligned to this context. One way of doing that is through leveraging attributes that we can see make certain companies successful in this era and in this context. Companies that are embracing staff on demand, companies that are embracing leveraged assets or shared economies, companies that actually innovate with their community, with their consumers, with their customers, get further than those that isolate innovation within their businesses. Companies that run innovation through experiment and have autonomy in their businesses are businesses that are generally more disruptive in their nature. So think about these as you build your business and how you can incorporate these into how you do business. Then understand, once you've picked kind of the problem you want to solve for, understand the value chain of that industry. Map out who the players are, who the stakeholders are, the regulators, where the power sits. The worst thing you can do is start a business that's actually impossible to do because of where the power sits and because regulators haven't created laws or there's blockages in policies or the power bases is stuff that you can't move. Be clear on where in the value chain you will play. Even if it's just at the beginning for your MVP and start, be clear on the smaller problem you're trying to solve as your MVP instead of trying to tackle everything at once. Then be clear on who your enablers and key partners will be, because no business succeeds on their own, but rather does it through collaboration. And how do you get into the books of the power brokers in your industry that will allow you to be successful and unlock and open certain doors? Then get in touch with your customer. If you're not able to describe your customer as a 35-year-old female who's a mother, 2 children, or whatever it may be, or a mid-corporation business in the aviation industry with 10,000 employees, you will struggle to make sure that you articulate a solution that reaches them appropriately. So figure out where you can access people who have the problem you're trying to solve. Are they on specific platforms? Are they in specific communities? How do you plug into those in order to get information? Secondly, profile the person that has this problem and what they've tried and tested, because that's who you're going to compete against, and that will show you what their levels of expectation and experience are. You can do that through focus groups, surveys, community discussions, events, competitions, whatever it may be, leveraging industry research papers as well. And then crowdsource your solution and keep testing iteratively. Build an MVP, do pilots, have open feedback loops from your clients so that they constantly are collaborating and crowdsourcing the solution with you, because that will get you much further than you will do on your own. So yeah, those are kind of the pointers that I think would be relevant in drafting your vision, but also making sure that you're running after something that's worth running after and doing it in a way that is not agile, I hate the word, doing it in a way that allows you to build a business that is the disruptor instead of a business that gets disrupted. And that's it for me. So thank you so much.